Hello, friendos! Welcome back to another exciting episode of Frosty Talks, where today we're gonna. I really don't have a whole lot to talk about today, so a lot of it is just gonna be me bullshitting. But I do want to get to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade one-up cabinet. There we go. Can't speak today. But the first thing I want to. But before we get to that, I want to talk about what's going on in the background of the channel. Because it's only run by me, so there's a lot of me fighting with myself. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Do I want to make this an intro? Do I want to make this an intro? What do I want to do? So I've decided that the static image intro is not working for me. I want something a little bit more animated, I guess. Is that the right word? Anyway, so I just want to go ahead and maybe make a live action intro to the gaming segments and maybe a live action intro to this. Because I don't know, there's something about it that I'm just interested in, I guess. I mean, I've seen intros of other channels, and I'm kind of interested into seeing what I can come up with, and maybe getting a friend of mine or a fellow small town musician to do some things. But it's a lot of guesswork. And I'm hoping that maybe at some point I'll have, that intro ready, or, just something a little bit different from what we've been doing with the static images and stuff like that. Because the way it originally worked was it was a static image of me and my friend Patrick, and we had our names underneath our faces, and then it went to me in the Casey Jones outfit, and I want something a little bit more higher in production value, I guess, is what I'm looking for. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I want to do more quick edits, I guess is what it's called, where we throw in like different scenes and different audio and this, that, and the other, to kind of be like to make it a little bit better to watch, instead of it just being me and the game. Kind of like some of the Game Grumps stuff that happens, but I want to have my own spin on it, because you gotta have your own spin on things. And then, of course, maybe bringing on a guest. The biggest problem with that is there's not a whole lot of people around here that I can really highlight, because I don't think they do YouTube, or they're not in like a competitive scene or stuff like that. But it would be nice to have somebody come on and be a guest every so often. So that's some of my ideas right now that have been floating around. So there has been a slight update to the Blizzard stuff from last week. They gave the guy a lighter ban, I guess. I guess it would it be a suspension, or would it just be a ban? Like, I don't feel like it's a ban if he comes back. I think it's a suspension, but that's neither here nor there. But instead of it being a year, they did 6 months. And instead of him not getting any of his winnings, he's getting the winnings. He's getting the whole $10,000 that he is owed, which is both good and bad. It's good that he's getting what he's owed, but it's bad that they're still suspending him for 6 months because it's stupid to me. Um, it's stupid to me for a couple of reasons. Because number one, you know, it's an American company. You should be able to say what you want as long as it's not, too derogatory, I guess, or a threat. As long as it's not against the law. So that is my idea for that, and that's the main reason why I think this is dumb. This whole thing is dumb, right? So the second reason I think it's dumb is because he really didn't say anything too bad. Like they were in, I think he was a Hong Kong player, and I mean it's better than a certain video that I've seen here recently that is absolutely hilarious. And maybe you guys will see it here. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to think about that edit. But, I mean, he didn't really say anything bad. He just said free Hong Kong. And then went about his day. I mean, that shouldn't have been a suspension period. Like, yes, it's a political statement, but at the same time, look at what China's been doing with their human rights violations. I mean, if they want to keep Hong Kong free, then they got to say something. That's not really political, to be honest with you. What it is it's a human rights deal. Because China will kill them if they don't. And that's not something that Blizzard should want to endorse. So there's that. But now let's talk a little bit about this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade machine. I don't have it behind me. I don't have it up here, unfortunately. But I gotta tell you, I'm happy with it. Like, I put it together, and I got everything together, and I turned it on, and nostalgia, just pure nostalgia washed over me, and I'm so happy with it. I never played Turtles in Time, the arcade version, or really the Super Nintendo version, because I never owned a Super Nintendo until my adult life. But looking back on it, I love that game because I played the hell out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, which is, I guess, a version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Turtles in Time. I don't know. Like, it's hard to really quantify there. But anyway, so I've been playing it, and I played it with my nephew, I played it with my niece, I played it with both of them together, which is a very bad idea because my nephew is 3 years old, and my niece is 6, and loses interest really fast. So that was fun. She was like, we get halfway through the game, and she's like, I'm done. And I'm like, you can't be done. We have to finish this. Like, that's not how any of this works. You have to finish an arcade game. And I wish I could explain that to her, but unfortunately, where I live, there are no arcades. And I just smacked myself in the chin. But anyway, so I played the arcade game, and because I used to own an NES, and the second Ninja Turtles game was the arcade game, I fondly remember that. Like, the watered down version, of course, but I mean, it just how do I explain it? How do you explain, and this is a good question for anybody out there. How do you explain nostalgia? Because of course it's something you remember, right? And it's a feeling you remember from that time, but it's not it's not exactly from that time. Or, well, I mean, it is from that time, but I mean, it's just you remembering certain things from that time. I guess I don't know. It's really hard to explain like how much nostalgia like gives you that warm feeling inside. Like you're so excited to revisit this game that you've played hundreds of times, that you begged your parents to go to the nearest Chuck E. Cheese because that's the only place that had it, and you wanted to play it so bad. And every time you got to go to Chuck E. Cheese, that was the game that you went and played. And man, it's just, yeah, I remember like all of that, and it just made me happy. Like there, nostalgia is always hard to quantify, and just seeing that arcade machine once again, it's it's beyond explanation. It's beyond words. And of course, getting to pick your own turtle. Mikey, Michelangelo all the way. I love Michelangelo. I think I still have my Build-A-Bear. Hang on. So a while back, Build-A-Bear had a special they were running. You could buy all four turtles for like $100. And of course, I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And so I got all four turtles, but this is the only one I kept because Mikey's my favorite. My favorite. Hi, 3. See? My favorite. But, yeah, and he's got like a little flippable face. Like, ninja time. Anyway, that's enough of that. But, so, I got to play the arcade game that I used to play as a kid all the time, and it made me feel like a kid again. And I know some people see that as a negative, but I think that reminding yourself that at one point you were this little person who really enjoyed something so much that it you were laser focused on that thing, right? So a lot of times when we grow older, we realize that we can't be laser focused on something. We can't we can't just sit down and enjoy stuff. We've got this to do. We got that to do. We got 5 other things that we've got to do before we can actually sit down and relax and enjoy stuff. Like this weekend, my vehicle, the back bracket of the rear passenger front side bracket for the leaf springs. I think I got all that right. Broke, so we basically had to cut it out. Like the way it works, the way it's set in there is it's riveted into the frame. So we had to cut out those rivets and hammer it out and get the bracket off, and then we had to take out the what is that called? Anyway, so we basically had to work for like 4 hours trying to get that damn thing out. And then only to find that they didn't sell us the right thing. We had the right bracket, but we didn't have the right bushing. Bushing is what it was. We didn't have the right bushing. Like, it was for the rear front side of the bracket and this, that, and the other, and it was weird. Like, I don't know why they have like 3 different sizes for these damn things, but they do. Anyway, so we cut off that, and we got all that ready to go. And they sold us the wrong bushing, and because they sold us the wrong bushing. I couldn't fix it today. And we had my nephew and niece both over, and they wanted to play the game, and this, that, and the other, and I loved it. I loved showing these little kids who have never seen an arcade machine before. Maybe my niece has, but my nephew has not. So he was all about it. He wanted to play it. He wanted to be the blue turtle. I want the blue one. I want to do this, and then he gets on there and he's just having himself a ball, right? And of course, he doesn't know how to play games, so I've got to kind of coach him through it and play the game myself and make sure that my niece is not getting bored of it. And of course, she hit the player live button for like a good 5 minutes and ended up with like 200 and some lives. But all in all, like it's one of those experiences that you don't get to feel very often. Like, even in the arcades, you only had maybe 2 players, maybe 4 if you were lucky and you got that one machine that had 4 players. But for the most part, these don't really exist. Like, you may have seen, RGT 85 has a bunch of them, behind him when he's talking, but a lot of times you don't see those. And even in, I think the closest thing that we've got to an arcade is Gaddy Town, which is not much of an arcade, let me tell you. But they have, like the Terminator Salvation stuff, and I think they had Mario Kart, like the Mario Kart arcade machine. And I'd love to have that thing, but no, that's far too big. But if they got to play the Ninja Turtles arcade game, and then of course when they left, I decided I wanted to play a little bit of Turtles in Time because I've never played it before, and I beat it. And I realized something. Some of those bosses are designed to eat your quarters. Like, there's no way you could beat them in 1 life, or even 2 or 4 lives. And then of course, you get 1 life per. I think it was 50 cents back in the day. I'm not 100% sure. It's been so long since I got to play something like that. So I finally beat Turtles in Time, and of course it's not the Super Nintendo version where you throw foot soldiers into the screen, which there are some people who are like, yeah, that was the best version, because you also had that little thing that came behind you, and you get to go left and right, and you had to jump over this and that. And there are some people who are purists, right? So I thoroughly enjoyed the Turtles in Time, and of course, the quality of the machine was just so good. I mean, you don't really get to see quality of that caliber a whole lot, but it was fun to put it together. It took me 3 hours too to put the damn thing together, and just being able to play something that I've wanted, the Ninja Turtles arcade machine, the actual arcade machine, for quite some time. I even priced it at one point, and it was $2,000. So paying $400 for a smaller version of the arcade machine, not having to pump in quarters every time I wanted to play the game, and maybe not even have the key to get the quarters back out. But yeah, I think, and I used to be so against the arcade 1-up cabinets because, number one, you see a lot of these like cabinets, and they're just low quality. They're gimmicks basically. And while this is a gimmick, it's such a good gimmick, and it's almost exactly like having the original arcade cabinet. So it's it's one of those things that I can say, you know what, this is a gimmick, but this is a worth it gimmick, right? Uh, and just being able to say, hey, I've got the this arcade cabinet is such a rare thing. Like I in the 90s, if you said, hey, I've got an arcade cabinet, people would be like, what? No way. And now, like, it's so easily accessible, especially at that price point. Holy crap. But it's so accessible now that you're just like, okay, that's cool. Uh, and then you're just like, well, what you got? But of course, some people build their own and create these amazing works of art, and those are expensive too. But anyway, I've gone off on a tangent about that. So the last thing I'll talk about is the sound. Like, it sounds exactly like it used to, like the overly compressed music, the overly compressed voice acting, the terrible voice acting. Tonight I dine on turtle soup. That was dumb. It's so delightfully dumb, and I love it. So, yeah, that's all I really got to say about that. The 15-minute long like nostalgia trip and me just gushing about fucking turtles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's amazing, and you can tell that I'm genuinely happy about it. But I'm going to be doing an Halloween stream. I don't know if I'm going to do it on YouTube or if I'm going to do it on Twitch. It really just depends upon what I feel like, but I'm definitely going to do a Halloween stream. Let me see when Halloween is. Halloween is on a Thursday, so I'll have to request off that Thursday. But I want to do a Halloween stream of a horror game. I know I've been doing Astral Chain, and I've been saying I want to do a horror game this month, but I really haven't found any horror games that I'm really interested in that I haven't played yet, because you got to get a new horror game, or else the horror part of it just doesn't feel right. You know what I'm saying? But so I'll probably do a live stream of that. I don't know if I'm gonna have my face cam on, because I really don't have a face cam. This is just a GoPro. It's just a GoPro in front of me, and then of course some things are shot on on this D5600 Nikon camera. But I mean, I don't want to knock over like half the shit that I've got behind the camera because I'm lazy. Don't want to pick it up. So I may just end up buying Luigi's Mansion 3 and playing that for a stream. I don't know if I'm going to go do an all-day stream, but I definitely want to do a stream of Luigi's Mansion 3 because I love Luigi's Mansion. Like, Luigi's that lovable idiot. I don't think he's really an idiot because he's scared of ghosts and shit. But I mean, he's a lovable coward. There we go. We'll say that. But I want to do something horror themed because I don't really do a whole lot of horror. I tried, Twitch streaming, Alien Isolation, I think last year, and that worked decently. And then the year before, no, it was also last year because I finished Alien Isolation way too fast. I did Doki Doki Literature Club, and as much as I like that game, I'm not going through it again. Because if you've noticed, like a lot of times, if there's themes of suicide, I will stop what I'm doing and talk about it. Basically, saying if you're feeling that way, there are some phone numbers to get some help. Seek help before you do anything too drastic. Anything that you can't reverse. Okay, which is pretty much anything. But I don't want to do that, and so I'm gonna try and stay away from like Doki Doki Literature Club or Persona 5. Uh, but I do want to do Persona 5. I'll probably do Persona 5 the Royal at some point because it's going to have more stuff than Persona 5. And I've played Persona 5 to death through my personal playthrough, so there's not going to be a whole lot there. But anyway, guys, that's really all I got. That's all I wanted to talk about is what we've been working on what I've been working on behind the scenes, and some things that I want to do, and give this a quick update on Activision Blizzard, and that's pretty much it. Like, I already covered the Vic stuff last week. Like, he's appealing, which is I'm happy about because I saw that coming no matter what, and you all know my feelings about that. So I'm not gonna go over that again because that's one of those things where you have to be like, oh, I'm gonna take an entire hour to explain what's going on here. And then explain my views on it, and I think I've done a good job of explaining my views, and maybe just giving a basic rundown of everything. So, yeah, there's nothing else that needs to be said there until something major happens. But yeah, guys, that's all I got. So until next time, you stay frosty.